This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, welcoming you to another informative episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 327. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin. And yes, we're heading over to Missouri. We're going to connect with Andy Hicks. Andy Hicks is a young man who loves to hunt whitetails. That's his passion, folks. He also has a Facebook page called Central Missouri Outfitters. And on that page, he shares tips, techniques, videos, and photos of successful hunts. Not only his own, but his crew over there in Missouri. What are you going to learn from Andy? You're going to learn what it takes to play the wind, great scent control, and how to make setups that are deadly for mature bucks. It's never too early to think about food plots. Whitetail Rendezvous has an ebook for you. Just simply text 33444 food plot to get your copy. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Hey, folks, we're going to join up with Andy Hicks. Now, Andy is the owner of Central Missouri Outdoors, and he's going to talk about what that is today. Andy, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's great to be on here.
Great. You were sharing me just in the warm-up that you're on some pro staff. What pro staffs are you on?
Right now, I'm just on Buck Cage right now. That's a scent dispenser out of Pennsylvania. So I'm working on other pro staffs and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's really the only one I'm on right now, but I'm pushing for others.
Well, I was on Blake Alma's show, the Out of the Outdoorsman, yesterday. He said that you're learning from him now. What's up with that?
Yeah, I listen. I tell you what, I listened to his podcast on Whitetail Rendezvous, yours, and I actually commented on, I think it was one of his posts on Facebook, and he texted me and he said he's young. He's a young kid, 16 years old, and he said that he was actually looking for some co-hosts, and I told him that I would be interested, and it kind of went into that, and now I'm getting trained, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm exciting because listeners, Blake Alma was on my show. I had part 1, part 2 a couple of weeks ago, and then Andy picked up and got on the show. You got to realize both Blake and Andy are 16, 17 years old, and they're doing things that I'm 7 years old. So there's a huge chasm between us. But, it's right down to the fact that we all love hunting and we all love talking about it. So, I'm just honored that Andy's on the show today. Hey, let's talk about Central Missouri Outdoors and tell the listener what's that all about, how they get in touch with you, and generally, why are you involved in that business?
Well, it all started when I was my sophomore year of high school. Me and about 4 other my buddies loved hunting, and still do, and we would go hunting as much as we can, fishing, everything outdoors. And my buddy actually came up to me one day and said, "Hey, why don't we get like a hunting group on Facebook going? There's a bunch of people on there that post stuff on Facebook." I said, "Yeah, sure, that'd be cool." So we got into that, and there for a while I realized that I was getting excluded from a lot of stuff. I didn't get to go with them all the time, and we kind of had a little bit of a little knock there a little bit. We're fine now, but I kind of got out and decided that I would do my own thing. Got online, started looking for names in the industry and Facebook pages, and just looking up stuff, going off of other people's pages, looking for tips and stuff like that. So, biography, stuff like that, and came up with Central Missouri Outdoors. And right off the bat, I thought, well, I don't want it to be just me. I want to have a few co-owners, I guess you can say. So I went through my Facebook list, and the first person that popped to my mind was my cousin Cody Nelson out of Clinton, Missouri. and he's my cousin, and he loves hunting as much as I do. So I figured it would be great for him to come aboard with me, and started out in 2015, deer season 2015, and from ever since, we've been pushing. Like I said, Buck Caves has helped us out a lot. Putting out giveaways. So yeah, it's doing pretty well right now. Like I said, we was getting some pro staffs there for a while, and we kind of took a break because it's hard to manage stuff and deer hunt a lot at the same time. We took a break right there during deer season this past year, and so yeah, we're pushing hard for it. We're trying to get our names out there as much as we can.
So what actually is the product of Central Missouri Outfitters? Do you take people hunting? Is that what you do?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not really a guide yet. That is one of my professions that I want to be someday, which Missouri has great ground for it, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, but yeah, I like to take people out like this coming turkey season. I already got about 5 or 6, I guess you can say, guide trips set up, and a few of them's younger kids that never really get out and do it. So, and I was actually really blessed because whenever I grew up hunting. Whenever I was 6 years old, I sat in the deer stand with my dad when I was 6 years old, and it's just I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could say it's just a big boost. So that's the plan.
Well, I think that's a good plan. Myself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you
never.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I like to get kids out there that never get to do it and introduce them to it.
Well, and you mentioned a little bit about the hunting tradition. Where'd that start? Kind of unpack that a little bit for me.
Well, like I said, whenever I was 6 years old, I sat in the deer stand with my dad for the first time. I can't remember fully, but it was around that time. I was really young, and a few years down the road, whenever I kind of got, the hang of everything, sitting, being quiet, and my dad went out and bought me a 243 Savage rifle. Started shooting with it, got pretty good with it, and next thing you know, I'm starting to kill deer, and so I guess you can really say my dad was a big impact on me. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be hunting right now, so that's kind of where it all started.
What's one thing that he passed on to you that you want to pass on to my listeners all across North America?
Basically, it's not all about killing the deer. It's all about killing the deer or turkey. It's all about getting out in the woods, connecting with God, enjoying nature, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And, I've been fortunate to do that quite a few years. Now, when you work with Blake, what attracts you to Blake and the outdoorsman and the hunter's war and everything he's got going on? What's the synergy there?
Well, see, the thing is, I mean, how he talks about vegans and stuff like that kind of attracts me. A lot of people out there don't understand what we do or why we do it, but yet they put their say in for it. And that's one thing that really attracts me about it. I like to get out there and put my name out there and talk about what I love to do, and I think, like being on here right now, I think this is the perfect deal to get my name out. So that's basically what attracts me is the audience and people that's listening.
I'm amazed by both of you because you have some goals, you have some things you want to accomplish, and you're taking the steps to literally get your name out there. And the more you do it, the more people will all of a sudden go, yeah, I've heard of Andy Hicks, blah, 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 blah. And then it slowly builds to you have some opportunities come your way because you work hard at it. Nothing comes easy in this world. You already figured that out even at 16 years old.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's really tough. So what are you doing for Blake right now? How's he training you to be a part of his podcast?
Well, as of right now, I'm just going in, and I'm not talking as much as I can. I'm just kind of getting introduced to it a little bit. Like I said, I'm 17 years old and in high school, and it's kind of hard. He has his shows every Tuesday night. I play basketball, so it's kind of a tough schedule to work around. But I'm going to start being on there as much as I can, and he's just going to introduce me to it, and hoping every time I can get better at it. So.
Yeah, it takes some work, but I think you got enough game on that. Now, you hunted last year. You're sharing the warm-up, but it didn't turn out so well. Let's share that story of the 2016 hunt, and why didn't it go the way you thought it should?
Well, see, the thing is, I got a job and as a mechanic, so I didn't get to pursue it as much as I could. Not knocking on my job or anything, but I just didn't get to pursue it as much as I could. I could tell because in my 2015 season, I completely tagged out with rifle and a bow, and I just didn't get out to hunt it as much. And I went out, and it was about early bow season, and around 7 o'clock, I knew when these deer was coming in. A few younger bucks, but good sized deer. I knew when they was coming to the stand. I had them figured out, and I went out. It was a Sunday morning, and I went out and set. And next thing you know, right at 7:02, there was some does coming down this hill, and I actually shot at the bigger one, but didn't necessarily go as planned. I shot right over her. She was about 30 yards. At the time, I had a 3-pin PSE sight on it. That's what I shoot PSE. And didn't go as planned. I used the wrong pin, which nobody can be perfect, And the younger doe actually decided to come towards me and turned quartered away a lot, actually, at 15 yards. And I put an arrow through her. She didn't run 20 yards, and I got that one around early bow season. Not really early, but mid-October, which that's around the October lull. So, that's one of the hardest times to hunt deer. And then I got one late season, which was New Year's Eve, and that was a nice mature doe I got, and proud of that kill too. That was my first ever actual late season deer. So I hit a milestone there. Late season, it's all about the food source. You got to have good food sources to kill a deer, unless you got property by food source that they're traveling to and from, So, yeah, it wasn't my best year, but I was still proud and happy to be out there.
So, are you hunting public or private land?
This year, all I hunted was private.
So you food plots. Now, let's talk about, your food plots, and then we'll go in your stand sets, and then we'll go into, how you access your stand. But let's just start with food plots. How many do you have? How many acres? And just the whole deal.
That's the thing. My home property is 40 acres. That's my dad's property. That's the one I was raised on. That's the property I killed my first deer on. We have cows, so it's hard to plant food plots over there. I actually just got permission this year to hunt a good piece of property, 70 acres, down in Tightwad, Missouri, and that's like 15 yards away from 15 minutes away from my location. He actually has around 7 food plots I want to stay out there. They're not huge or anything, but they're big enough. The deer's hitting them, and off of the side of them, there's a big old bean field that we got a few stands set on. So, yeah, like I said, if you want to have really good success in the late season, the best thing to do is hunt off food plots. I've learned that, ever since I was really little. They hammer the food plots because obviously during the rut, they're chasing all these does and they're losing a bunch of weight. And whenever rut's kicked out and everything's over with, they're hitting these food sources again, trying to build fat back up. So, yeah, I hunt out there on Tightwad, and that has some good food source down there, but I got another property that's just north of me. That's some really good property. There's been some big bucks killed off of it. And, yeah, I mean, I've been lucky with that too, to get some good pieces of property to hunt off of. So, yeah.
Let's go back to where the food plots are. Now, are you, taking care of them, or somebody else is planting them?
This year, to help the guy I hunt off of, I'm going to start helping him replant them. Something like, you let me hunt off of your property, I'm going to help you around the house and stuff like that. So, yeah, I help him with it.
Now, what kind of crops are you putting in?
Put in a little bit of chickpeas. There was something else I can't fully remember, but I know chickpeas are one thing. He's wanting to actually do something different that not a lot of people do here in Missouri. We're actually wanting to start planting sunflower seeds, sunflowers and stuff like that, and which deer love that too. Kansas, that's the state of them. So we're going to try that out this summer. We're going to try to get them planted in. And so, yeah, we're trying to go to a variety of things to plant just so we can go off of what we have, like late season, better food sources for late season. We plant a little bit of oats in there too. So that's another thing.
And what are the deer? Do the deer come to the chickpeas, or are you doing Nebraska and the turnips and that?
They hit it pretty good early season. They hit, like, opening day, I had a doe. Well, not a doe. I had a fawn come in, and this same fawn was hitting each food plot. I'm sure it was each food plot every night. This little fawn would start moving around, I'd say 5 o'clock, and it would feed on every plot before dark, which here in Missouri, it gets dark around, 7:30 at night, 8 o'clock at night, early season, bow season. So, I mean, they come in pretty good to the chickpeas and stuff like that. And, whenever them beans are in, they hit them pretty good too. This year, I actually had a stand. I was hunting one of the stands off of the bean field. I had right at 7 o'clock, which it was barely light. Had this nice, I don't know, it was around 140-inch buck, and just an old, smart, mature deer, because he knew right where my stand was. And when I went to turn my head the other way to look in his direction, he had already picked me up. He knew exactly where I was, and just didn't go as planned. But they hit the beans pretty good down there too.
So if somebody was, just starting out, what would you recommend for food plots?
Food plots, I would say, starting out, start little. You definitely don't want to plant something huge and it not do very good, and then you're out of all the money. Like we started with oats, chickpeas, start out with that. Them are doing pretty good. So, I think personally that would be a good thing to start out with. And if you got good land where you got bean fields and corn fields on it, that's another good source to hunt off of too. So
now, if you had your druthers, what would you hunt over and why?
What's that?
If you had your druthers about a food plot, what kind of food plot would you hunt over?
Well, we're looking into planting some up by my property, and I'm actually looking into the Mossy Oak Biologics, Clover Plus, the winter bulbs, sugar beets, all kinds of stuff like that. That always kind of fascinates me. I watch Jury Outdoors all the time, and they have deer hammering them, so that's really what I want to plant.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can see on some of those, those shows and the success they have. But listeners, setting up food plots, the most important thing, in my opinion, is know the pH, and then everything, filters in from there. If you don't do that soil test and take it down to your local ag co-op and have them run it for you, you're going to kind of waste seed. Your thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I agree with that because, like I said, you don't want to waste any money doing it. And like I said, if you get a lot of stuff planted that doesn't come up very well, and that's not very good. So, yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, thanks for that. Now, you do a lot of archery hunting. Do you gun hunt at all?
There's actually a story behind that. I gun hunted ever since I was really little. And when I was 12 years old, my cousin came up to me and said, "Hey, you want to get into something else?" I said, "Yeah, sure, that'd be fine." And he gave me a bow. It was a second compound model Bear came out with. And so it was an oldie. But as soon as I let that first arrow fly and it hit the target, I was sold right there. Bow hunting, it was going to be in my profession. Yeah, I do gun hunt whenever I get the chance. If I don't have school someday in November, yeah, I'll take a gun with me. But like this year, I probably only hunted with a rifle 3 times, and that's it. With gun hunting, you can get them out there 200, 300, 400 yards and reach out and touch them, no problem. But me personally, I like a challenge. I like to have the deer come within 20 yards away from me. And sometimes I don't even want to shoot them. I just want to sit there and I want to watch them feed. And I want to pay attention to what they're doing. As they lick their nose, try to smell something. Something fascinates me with being up close and personal with a deer.
What's it take to be a 365 day a year hunter?
I'll tell you right there what my dad told me ever since I was growing up. Practice, practice, practice. You can't just go out and buy a bow or gun and think, I'm going to go out and kill a deer this year, It don't work like that. You got to be out there shooting day in and day out. You got to be shooting lights out. So, it takes a lot of practice, and I'm actually getting into filming and stuff like that. And it just takes a lot of practice. You can't really expect to go out and do something without practice. And like filming and stuff like that, my cousin has been helping with me a lot there, Cody Nelson, and he'll tell you it's not easy. You can get a clear view of a shot with your bow or gun, but that camera might not even have any view of that deer. And the best thing to do there is, if you want to put out good videos, the best thing to do is let them walk and just watch them, study the deer, But it definitely takes practice. It's not something that'll just happen one night and you can just go out and do it. So, yeah, I shoot all throughout the summer as much as I can. Every night after work, I get out there and I try to shoot. If I can't, well, I get on YouTube. I watch videos on YouTube, tips on shooting. I learned a lot of stuff off of YouTube. Pros around here that's just not even pros. They're just telling you a bunch of tips on shooting a bow, a bunch of tips on getting the deer in your area with food plots, everything like that.
You sound like a pretty good student for only 16 years old. That's impressive.
Thanks, man.
Well, it is. You know what you want and you're working towards it. And so what advice would you give to other, 16, 17, 18, 20-year-olds and old guys like me about if they've never hunted, why should they go out and hunt?
Well, everyone has their beliefs, and if you really want to get out and pursue the outdoors and have fun with it, it's a good way to get closer to nature. It's a good way to connect with God, and it's good ways to have fun. Like I said earlier, a lot of people don't understand that, but it's in my nature, it's in my obsession, and I just want to tell everyone and let everyone know if they want something to do while it's cold outside, it's deer hunting. And it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it is. And, I've been fortunate enough to hunt all over the place. And I like hunting in August or up and high in the mountains, chasing the critters that live up there, or, late season in my blind in Wisconsin, and just hoping he hasn't, dropped his rack already. And, it's a great thing. That's what I would say, find somebody that you know and trust and want to spend an afternoon with, and, just go out and enjoy the outdoors. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about.
Let's talk about your gear. Earlier, go ahead.
Like I said earlier, you may not kill a deer, but that's not what it's all about. It's the reason why they call it hunting and not shooting.
That's for darn sure. Now let's talk about your gear and what you use for scent control and the whole thing, from the clothes on all the way up through your bow and rest and all that.
Well, me personally, I've always been a mossy oak man. I've always hunted with mossy oak. First day I've ever went out. Something my cousins hunted with, and I just kind of took it over to. Scent. I use Scent Away. That's something I kind of just bought too when I started bow hunting, and I've had a lot of luck with it. So Scent Away, I strongly prefer to use that over anything else. I shoot Rage broadheads, and if you go on my Facebook, you can see that doe I shot early season. That Rage did the job. Quartered away shot, it tore that doe up, but it wasn't going very far. I shoot. I want to get into Scott releases. I've actually went to Walmart and just bought one of the little Allens, but it works as good as any other release. But like I said earlier, I shoot PSE. I used to shoot a high country. I shot my first deer with a high country. It's like an old 97 compound model. And then I recently, just this year, my bow is a 2016 PSE Brute Force. I bought it last year, which it was new. So, I try to use the best stuff I can, and really, everyone says, shoot a Matthews, shoot a Bowtech. In my book, they don't make a bad bow anymore. They really don't. You can go out and shoot lights out with anything. It just takes practice. So.
Well, thanks for that. Now, what about your boots? Do you use Lacrosse, or what kind of rubber boots do you wear?
I wear muck boots. They've always done pretty good keeping me warm, and I wear mucks. I just got a new pair this past Christmas, so I love them.
Well, it's all important. Now, you mentioned that you play some basketball. Is that senior high, varsity, or share with the
varsity?
Varsity. And what position you play?
I play power forward. Been pretty good with that. I average about 10 to 15 points some nights. On a good night, I shoot 20 points. But like I said, I love basketball, but hunting's my profession.
Yeah, it's just amazing that how polished and the people I'm meeting in the industry. I just came back from ATA, and some young folks just like you. They got game, and they're going to make a difference in the outdoor industry. So I'm really happy. I'm happy for you. So we're at the time of the show here, Andy, that we're just going to let you take the mic for a little bit and get some shout outs. And by the way, how can people get a hold of you? I don't know if we asked that question, so I'm going to ask that again now.
You can get a hold of me on Facebook.com, Andy Hicks. You can also go to the Central Missouri Outdoors page on Facebook. Send me a message there. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Central Missouri Outdoors. Everything is Central Missouri Outdoors. So, yep.
Anybody, any friends you want to say hi to from high school or out in the industry?
Yeah, Chuck Catanzaro, Andy Hicks. They're my buddies in high school, or Andy Redding. My dad, mom, all my family that's helped me get into the industry. So, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So. just thankful for everything I've got and love to be in the outdoors.
Well, Andy Hicks, thank you so much for sharing today on Whitetail Rendezvous. And on behalf of our thousands of listeners throughout North America, you were just an awesome guest.
Thank you. It was great to be on here.
On the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, we got a special guest. We have Kenny Maynard. Kenny is a disabled veteran. He got hurt in Afghanistan, but that doesn't stop him from hunting whitetails. He will talk to you and share with you his story about getting 36 yards from a 9-pointer and a 10-pointer on the ground, still hunting. It's not a show you're going to want to miss.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.